So here's another video on creating a rhinestone template with CoreDRAW, and this particular one kind of poses a unique challenge for us. And I wanted to demonstrate this to kind of give you an idea of how to overcome some of these challenges that you'll come across as you begin doing your rhinestone templates here in CoreDRAW. So this is the design that we're going to be making, and what is particularly significant about this particular design is the intersection here. Notice how this intersection, it just kind of flows. You know, this stone is hitting dead spot on from both directions, and that's obviously what we want. But believe it or not, for that to happen is not an easy thing to make happen. But it is because we have CoreDRAW. Unfortunately, the rStone plugin, which I love and I hate perhaps even more, doesn't allow us the finesse that we need to overcome a little situation like this. So really we have to use CoreDRAW for this. And if you're using FunTime or one of those other programs, they're just not going to have the control that we have in CoreDRAW to make this process so very simple. So let me just kind of go through how this is going to work for us, and show you, why rStone doesn't work and why CoreDRAW does. And you'll be able to see the difference. Now, rStone has its place. It's just in certain circumstances, it's not the best tool to use. So, what we're going to do here, if you notice over here, if you've watched any of my other videos, we got our poker chips all lined up, and we have our various different stone sizes all ready to go, starting with 6, 8, 10, 12, 16, and 20, and likewise with my poker chips over here. So what we're going to do first of all is define a path for the elements that we're working with. So what I would do is if I had a JPEG, maybe it's a piece of clip art or something, what I would first do is take my JPEG, right click and lock her down. So we'll right click, lock object. That is now locked. I can't click on it, can't move it, can't do anything. Perfect. And then what I would do is zoom in nice and tight here and grab. This is a weird CoreDRAW thing. It's really weird. Is if we're on top of a bitmap with a guideline, we cannot pick that up and move it. Isn't that weird? But if we come outside the guideline, look at that. I'm in the bitmap, out of the bitmap. Isn't that weird? But anyhow, we want to just try and line this guideline up as close to center as we can. And it's not like super critical, but it would be nice if we could get that lined up just as close to center as we can. It's got to come over just a little bit, but it's weird. I think it's just a weird CoreDRAW bug that it does that. But at any rate, it doesn't really matter. And then what I would do is go ahead and do the same thing. We'll just drag one down and get it close to center as we can there. And that's what we'll do. We'll delete this one. And that's what we'll do. We'll zoom in nice and tight. And then we can pull over a guideline and get it as close to center as we can. So good enough. So then what I would do here is let's just go ahead and grab our pen tool. Now if we don't have anything selected, let's give our pen tool a color. We'll make it orange. Right click on the orange. Okay. We can't have anything selected. And we'll right click on the orange and we get this dialog box. We click OK and we'll give it some width. And we get another similar dialog box and we'll click OK. It's just saying the next time we use our graphic tool, it'll take on those properties essentially. So we need to go to the view menu and choose snap to guides, and then we could just click, and I'll zoom out and back in. And because we have a guideline to snap to, click right basically where the center of the stone will become, and you can see we have a nice thick line. And then we do the same thing horizontally. We'll just come in here, grab our pen tool here, click, come across, center of the stone, click, spacebar to end that. And there we go. So then we need to basically do the same thing to the top here. And what I would do is grab my pen tool again, come in here, click, and then I come all the way down to the bottom and click. Spacebar. And then grab my shape edit tool and edit this shape to that curve that I want. Just come in here and we can use our little control handles. We can fine tune this to, it doesn't have to be exact, but get it close just like I got it there. And that looks good. And then all I'm going to do here is I'm going to mirror it. But first I need to duplicate it, so hit the plus key on my keyboard to duplicate. And then click on this little button here to mirror. And grab the node and drag the node over. Okay, now to stone this. Now we got to go romancing the stones, okay? So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to pull this outline away from my clip art, and there you can see the outline. And you'll see in my videos much of my work in creating rhinestones is all about being able to create lines. So if you can create lines, you can create rhinestones. Okay? So now we're going to be using a 10SS stone here, and that is my pink. And so what I have here is this blend group, okay? And so I just drag that up and make a copy of it. And there is my blend. So the first thing I need to do is I need to apply this blend to these lines. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, in my blend docker, okay, so if you don't have your blend docker open, go to Window, Dockers, and open up your blend docker. So here's my blend docker. I have my blend selected. I'm going to click this option right here. Path, New Path, and define the path. Blend along the full path and apply. There are my stones. Now, the spacing here, obviously, is not what I want. So let's try 40 stones and see how close that is. That's a bit tight. So let's back it off. Let's back it off to 30 stones and see what that gives us. That's a bit loose. So somewhere in between 30 and 40. Let's do 35 stones. Let's do let's go back to 36 stones. I like that spacing, maybe 35 stones. I tend to go a little bit more spacing, but it's just a matter of personal preference. So that's pretty good. That's pretty much what we're looking for. Now what we can do is we can actually just take the existing blend, left mouse click, drag, right mouse click. That makes a duplicate. Okay? And then we'll choose, with that path selected, we'll click on the path, New Path, and define the other side. So let's try that again. We'll grab, there we go, and we'll try New Path, and define this as the path, and hit Apply. And you can see all those stones moved from that line to our new path line. Perfect. Now, because we're using CoreDRAW, we could fix this problem. You see how right now that's an ugly mess, right? But we can fix that using CoreDRAW. So because these objects are blended along a path, what we can do is modify our path. So I'm going to grab my shape edit tool, and because these stones are blended along the path, if I modify the path, then the stones become modified with it. So watch how this works. We got to kind of watch this intersection too. And it might be helpful actually to turn off the snap to objects for a moment. But we'll come up here, grab this path, and you can see how I just shifted it a little bit. Now you have to kind of keep in mind something. We're going to shift this one half as much as what we need, and then we'll come over here and we'll shift this one. And when we shift each one just a little bit, and you can get it close. I mean, it doesn't have to be like spot on, but just get it close. There we go. I think that's close enough. And you can see how simple that was. Now you can see we have a bit of an overlap there, but that's all right, because what we're going to do now that we have that tiny little correction made, all we have to do is click on our blend, right click and break a blend apart, and then we got to right click on it again to ungroup it, and then do the same thing on this side. Right click, break it apart, and then ungroup. And then we just delete the extra stone. And when that's gone, you can't really tell at all that was ever an issue. That just lines up exactly where it's supposed to. And I'll grab another stack of chips here. Let me just come in here and grab another stack of chips. I always call them poker chips because they look like poker chips. I've got a game on my cell phone that has poker chips stacked up like that. But then we'll just go ahead and apply new path to our cross, blend along full path, and hit apply. And we can determine if we like that spacing or don't. And I think that's decent. I wouldn't mind trying a couple of stones. And yeah, maybe I like that. I'll go 21 stones. That's good. Happy with that spacing. And then what I'll do here is I'll come in and do the same thing, except I already have a set of stones. So I'm just going to drag it with my left mouse button, right click, let go, that makes a duplicate, and define a new path for those. Right there. And of course that's too many for that little line, so we'll go back it off to 10 stones. That's not even enough. Let's do 8 stones. We're getting there. Let's back it off to 6 stones. Oh, too much. Let's go 7 stones. Okay? And then that is pretty close. So what I would do is I just drag this down so that is in line there. Just make that small adjustment there. And that's it. That is the essentially that design. Okay? Now, just for extra credit, let me show you rStone and where rStone lets us down, and hopefully everybody with rStone will call the developer and say, hey, we need this, because we really do. When we're using rStone, we'll go ahead and open up rStone here. Beautiful program. It's got some good concepts to it, but there's one nagging issue. Well, there's several actually, but one glaring issue is the fact that when we assign some stones, let's just go ahead and do that. Okay, beautiful. We don't have to guess how many stones. We told the program what our spacing, what we wanted for our spacing. It created that for us automatically, and you'll notice actually down here it's close. See where this stone is? It's close, but watch what happens. If we do the other side, same thing, where we do the other side, notice that intersection is nasty. If we just delete the one stone, you can see that intersection doesn't look near as nice as it did when we modified it with CoreDRAW. The problem is with rStone is once we've applied the stone to our path, each stone is its own separate entity. And I so wished that rStone would allow us to position our stones on the path, but have a checkbox or something, and allow us to maintain the stones on the path, so that if we later adjust the path, our stones would automatically adjust with it, just as they do when we add the stones with a blend in CoreDRAW. That's huge, because then we can make this change if we wanted to really, really simply and easily. But right now, if we were going to just use rStone, we've got to position this one, and then we got to move this one, and then this one, and then that's not right, so we got to move this one and this one to get that intersection looking like we had a lot of more finessing of moving all these individual stones than just making a tiny adjustment to the path, and then the stones all shifting along with our tiny adjustment on the path, and that intersection problem was fixed. But it is what it is. But I do like the fact that I don't have to guess how many stones it's going to take. Now, the more that you design with CoreDRAW, and the more you look at how long a line you have, the better idea you're going to have of how many stones you need. Usually you'll get it close. But here, it just figures it out for us we don't have to do any guessing if we're using rStone for that purpose. But anyhow, that's my little insight on rStone. But hopefully you learned a little something about creating a template here inside CoreDRAW for doing a rhinestone template. And we're going to have a few more series of templates for you. I'll show you some different things. Working with CoreDRAW in combination with rStones, in combination with the Funtime software, and even DrawStone. Because DrawStone is very similar to rStone, but DrawStone has some functionality that rStone doesn't. So we'll show you that as well. Thanks for watching.